Well, this is our top vegetable patch, and in the last video, I think it was a little while ago, I was explaining I just planted some spring onions which were showing, and here they are. They did really well, as did the artichokes. If you saw the earlier videos, these were pretty small, and now I've got a whole line of fantastic plants, and next year they should give me a very good crop, and I can probably start dividing them up a bit as well and get a few more plants. So that fantastic plant to have, because they just keep coming back year after year. For the spring onions, there's a handy little trick you can do with spring onions. When you harvest them, instead of digging them up, you can just cut them off. And this is actually a plant that I cut off. You just cut them off above the root, about, I don't know, 2 centimetres, an inch above the root, and in a couple of months they will grow back again. So it's sort of plant one, get two free. So they've done well. Swiss chard, which is always a good crop for us. I've got some spinach coming through. We had a lot of tomatoes here. They've all been ploughed up, and we've got a few leeks in there. One thing I have been finding is baby tortoises. Unfortunately, I found another one today, but it was dead, and I think the cold is killing them. I'm trying to save as many as I can because they're a very rare species here, but we found a couple, and I've got one baby in the house that's doing very well. I think they were in our compost heap, which I checked very carefully before we burnt it, and there weren't any in there, but we found another one today up by the hedge. The other thing that's done well, this is my top shed for a few tools, is my hops. I wasn't sure they grow in the south of France. I've always had a lot in England, and I've planted them all over the place to see where they do best, and in fact they seem to do okay everywhere as long as they've got water. And this is this one is a Bramling Cross, which didn't do too badly, and I've got a Northern Brewer. It's their first year, so I'm not expecting great things, but I got a couple of ounces, I suppose, from each. So Bramling Cross I use as a substitute for the noble German hops like Saaz, Hallertau, Herbucker, and the Northern Brewer is pretty good for steam beers. So I've yet to try that hop, but eventually what I want to do is to get all these hops to cover this ugly shed. So I'll string a load of fencing around it and layer the hops along, and they should cover that nicely. So that's a little update. The sheep are happily munching away, so probably leave them here overnight. I've connected up the electric fence, so they should do a good job for us. But yeah, overall we're pretty pleased with the vegetables. The only thing that we don't do too well on is potatoes. They got blight again, so I've sort of given up on those. Onions did very well, got lots and lots of onions, but I must admit onions and potatoes are quite cheap here, so I'm not going to grow those again, and instead I'll probably focus on things that are expensive or don't keep well. So the artichokes, asparagus is expensive. Things like Swiss chard and spinach, they can be a bit expensive and they don't keep particularly well in the supermarket, whereas freshly picked, they're lovely. So overall we're pretty happy. It's 2 years in and things aren't too bad.